Welcome to Soul Brew, where healing conversations flow as freely as the tea. Join us as we dive deep into the depths of the human experience, one sip at a time. Grab your favorite mug, settle into a cozy spot, and chime in on a conversation that will nourish your soul. Hey now, wonderful.
Hi.
Welcome to our episode of Soul Brew, Healing Conversations Over Tea. Today we have Chidimma. She is a new friend that is a sound healer, yoga teacher. What was the other? She's so many things. Energy healer, somatic practitioner, so many things. And I've invited her here today to have conversation. We could talk about a little bit of our healing journeys, what got us here, what brought us together. But yes, welcome, Chidimma.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me. I always love nerding out about everything in this space, and learning other people's journeys is always so inspiring, so I'm really happy to be sharing mine today as well.
Wonderful. Did you bring tea today? What is your choice of drink that you brought?
Today I brought a hibiscus tea, so it's very floral, a little tart, but it feels appropriate for spring. So.
Yeah. I love it. I'm still on my matcha kick. I've been doing matcha teas and enjoying that there. So wonderful.
Matcha's a rabbit hole. I've been there.
Yeah. So let's actually start by why don't you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you do in the scope of your healing space. I mean, I've brought together so many different healers, and we all have our own way that things have come together. So sound, energy, so the somatics. Can you talk a little bit about that and what you do in the world?
Yeah, I've been in wellness for about 12 years now, and originally when I started, I was in corporate, I was in the film and television business, and I was looking for a way to manage the stress of dealing with all the personalities and the chaos, and I was drawn to yoga, but what I didn't realize was that it was a great way to slow down, to connect with my body, my mind, and see how those were connected. Because for me, I didn't really have a physical practice. I didn't really understand the subtleties of how those play together and how they tie in energetically. So as soon as I started doing yoga, I was hooked, and I started to notice profound transformation in my life, not only with myself and wounds that I was working on that I didn't even know that I had, but also I noticed my relationships with those around me started improving as I continued to work on myself. And yoga had such a transformative impact on me that as soon as I got the opportunity to teach, I took the leap. So I really enjoy helping people on their own journeys of finding stillness, being in tune with themselves, and to slow down. So with yoga in particular, we do these poses to calm the mind in preparation for meditation and shavasana. So having this as a tool that allows us to physically engage and work out any stress or anything in the body that's coming up to help us get to that point of stillness is really impactful. And then as time went on, I guess I started collecting modalities. Everything was really fascinating to me, and I love learning and growing. So I went into yin yoga, really tuning into that stillness of observing what's present when your only option is to be in stillness, and actually found that to be more challenging than, say, vinyasa or hatha for a little bit, because I just been so used to go, 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 and vinyasa had that aspect of movement to go into stillness, but just being in stillness. That took a lot of practice for me, but through that I discovered more layers within yoga, like more of the subtleties of energy, and then that took me on a journey to discover sound healing. And I remember there was this yoga studio down the street from me. I didn't know anything about sound, but I was just curious to keep learning more in this space, because at this point everything was new and exciting and it was resonating, and there was just a knowing that there was something more for me in this space. So the first sound bath I ever went to, no expectations, didn't really even know what it was, but the instructor had all of these amazing instruments like crystal bowls and Tibetan bowls. And I just remember what I loved about it was that I didn't have to do anything. Mm-hmm. All I had to do was lay back, relax, and receive. And then as I was going through this sound bath, hearing the different tones and frequencies, something really unexpected happened. I noticed that different parts of my body started to activate and energize, like areas that had been sore from exercise, and that blew me away. And then just at that moment I knew I had to learn more, I had to explore, and just felt a pull, that a feeling that this was something that would be impactful in my life. So afterwards I talked to one of the facilitators, and I just was like, that was amazing. I had this wild experience. I need to learn more. Where can I learn more? And she said something that I'll never forget. She said that anyone can go and get bowls and go do a sound bath, but when you understand the science, the art, and the spirituality, your sound baths can be so powerful. And that really stuck with me. And that's a theme that I weave into my current facilitation style, and really inform the paths that I took for training within sound baths, is knowing the music theory, how different notes come together to create harmony or dissonance, and how you can interplay the two based on intention or what your client is going through. Knowing the science, how you can entrain brainwave states with specific hertz, and how different hertz might feel differently on your body. And then understanding the spiritual aspects, our energetic centers, and how these can also inform how we feel in our body. And after that, sound became one of my main passions that I bring to others. And as I continued on this path, one thing I discovered was how all these different modalities are essentially doing the same thing but speaking a different language. So I really enjoy weaving together different modalities like yin yoga, slower pace, being in stillness with sound. So that's really powerful. Also incorporating breath more actively in a yoga class. Not only just linking breath with moving the poses, but I really enjoy creating specific moments to just be in breath, because I feel that's very powerful energetically as well. And also recently I've been incorporating more somatic work and learning about how the science is catching up with some of the things that we suspect energetically, like how trauma, tension, stress is physically stored in the body, and we're learning how it literally can be passed on from generation to generation. So it's been really such a joy to be on this path and constantly be learning, but also integrating and see how everything ties together, and then being able to bring that to others in a way that's accessible and help people discover more about themselves, and also give them the tools to be empowered to learn and discover more on their own. So I feel that when you resonate with something and you incorporate that as a practice, it's more powerful than someone only guiding you through it. So that's a major approach I take as well. So overall, this journey has been very fulfilling. So grateful to be able to do this for a living, and I enjoy bringing all these modalities to others as well.
Yeah, I definitely relate some on the bringing the modalities together, but was something that you said, and how you said it transformed your life. Like, And I could definitely relate to one after the other. We have these different modalities that come into our lives, and they change everything. And so your experience with the sound bowls and having your first sound bath was transformative. But now as a trainer, you get to see that happen in so many people. And I know that it's a magical experience to see that happen. So not only experience it, but then to see someone awaken from these journeys where you could see that their journey was just as transformative. So, as a trainer, can you talk about some of
Yeah.
the transformations that you've been able to observe?
Yeah, I've been really fortunate to be partnering with a company in Australia. They're called Rainbow Sounds, where I do foundational training to learn how to play crystal singing bowls. And they go over the science and different techniques to play. And I love teaching and I love educating, so the fact that this opportunity kind of fell into my lap was just a amazing experience. And in these trainings I go through, and people are able to physically have crystal bowls to play, and I'll help guide people and show them how to play, learn different techniques, how to take care of their bowls, and also learn a kind of a segment of how to play a sound bath. But the level 1 training is more for playing for yourself and starting to get more comfortable and confident within that space, and really integrating sound as your own self-care practice. So I feel that in everything we do, especially if we want to bring it to others, we really need to embody it and have it be something that we have in our own practice as well. So through these trainings, people are able to learn how to play crystal bowls and learn about the science behind them. And I love helping people take these tools home, because when they have these, and they're able to bring them into their community, and it's a ripple effect. So that's been one of the greatest joys with facilitating these crystal bowl trainings, is to bring more awareness to this modality and have it further ripple out to others as well.
Yeah, beautiful. Um, so we know you talked about early on that you were almost escaping that corporate life, that stress of the corporate world and all those patterns, and pretty much in the way that we're talking right now, that frequency of life that you have now pulled yourself out of. What was that journey like? You talked about your first sound bath, but we all know that it didn't just, well, actually, maybe it did. Maybe did the next day you just quit everything and then and now you have the world you have now? No. What was some of that journey like to be able to let go of the stress? Letting go of the stress would be the best way, the best visual.
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. Originally, when I was working in corporate, I kind of dipped my toes into wellness, because I feel like this happens with a lot of people, is that you enjoy that security of a corporate job, and to go and make something new and build something from scratch can be stressful or new, so it can feel uncertain. So for me, I was in corporate for a while, and I was teaching yoga like on the weekends or on the evenings. But the more I started teaching, the more I felt the pull to go more into that space. And then corporate, I just started to see some of the, well, I acknowledge that everyone has corporate jobs and it plays a part. But for me personally, it wasn't resonating as much anymore. And at least in my environments, I had like no boundaries in the workplace. Like I was working till 1 a.m, and there's like a constant cycle of stress of like continual layoffs with things that were going on within our industry. So for me, it was just starting to feel draining and not as rewarding anymore. But around this time, unfortunately, my father was sick. He was diagnosed with cancer, and this also me to see more perspective in my life of what's important to me, time, relationships, and focusing on things that bring me joy and happiness. And part of that journey too was that seeking. That's how I found my first sound bath. Was I was looking for ways to manage the stress and to go through this heavy process. And unfortunately, my father passed away, but the journey of grief and healing and sitting with all of these intense emotions, really grateful to have had these tools like sound, like having heavy emotions, but being able to drop in with sound and play a bowl or strike a tuning fork and just breathe, slow down, acknowledge, and process, versus just going a mile a minute where at that pace you don't think about these hard topics or these really heavy dynamics that come up in life. So through that pain, I was able to have my own healing journey. And then through that healing, I was able to have an understanding of what I wanted to bring to others and help them in their journeys as well. And that really shaped my facilitation style and what I want to bring in to help others as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the theme of a lot of these conversations have been where we're almost like collecting wisdoms, where like you said, like educating yourself, like, picking up the wisdoms, gathering the tools. And then there becomes this moment where we don't just gather, like we use them, where it becomes like I need to actually not just consume, not just pick up the tools, but to actually use it. And as you were talking, I was thinking, like, this is a perfect example of just being present, being in the moment. Like when you reflect on it, it's the presence of the moment, of you taking on those, like you said, sitting with the hard emotions, sitting with the grief. That's deep presence, which is a tool. It's a wisdom where we almost say we know the thing, where we're like, I know, I just have to sit with it. I know that I should do a sound bath. I know that I should choose stillness. And then it becomes that knowing, and then that knowing then goes into the practice. So I feel like this is just a story of you just began to practice full on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I completely agree. I feel that the embodiment is so important. Like for me, when I was going through this process in wellness, like there's so much information, there's so many facilitators, there's so much kind of thrown out there. And when you're in a state where you're healing or in transformation, I feel it's really important to be discerning and to not get too swept up, because there can definitely be a moment where you keep looking outside. You feel that you need this next thing or this next thing in order to heal or to work through something. But like you said, it's that integration to, as you're going through and working through your emotions, really grounding the information or what you're learning. Otherwise, if that's not happening, there can be that process where you're always looking outside. And I feel the most impactful change, the most powerful transformation we can do in our lives is embodying and taking the steps to look inward. And I feel that that's also our medicine. Is in that process is what we can bring to the world and how we can help others too.
Yeah. I think that goes with probably your flow into like the somatic work also, like knowing that there's that embodiment, that feeling it's internal, external, internal, external. It's like that back and forth, check in, check out, check in, check out. It was really nice to experience. I know you do these sound journeys, which I am so blessed to have experienced with the audio. And for everyone else, shared that I showed up to this call 30 minutes early, and because I got the time wrong. And I had the opportunity then to just sit with one of her sound journeys, and I just listened to it over and over. And it was really fun to show up to this call where I had just seen myself kind of like buzzing around and like excited about the call. What am I going to do? What am I going to say? And just kind of, yeah, I think the feeling myself, being with myself, seeing what's coming up. And it is an integration process because so much had happened this morning. And I was just looking at that and seeing all that happen and how it was still swirling around in me, even though it wasn't happening in this moment. Um, but it enabled me that time to be able to just clean my plate, to show up here completely present, completely calm, and here. So it kind of points to presence there. Yeah.
I'm really glad that you are enjoying the audio and resonating with it, and
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons I created it. I'm seeing this reoccurring theme in our call about how pausing and being in stillness is so impactful, and these sound journeys I created inspired by the elements: air, water, fire, and earth, and each one has its own unique characteristics, its own unique frequency. So I intuitively and creatively made each one to embody those characteristics, like flowing with water, grounding with earth, fire finding strength in your inner fire, and then with air, like releasing, purging, and clearing. And I loved creating these audios because it was really beautiful to tie into the creativity of working in film and television and taking people on a journey with sound.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I loved about working in film and television when I was like scripting and writing is taking people on a journey, letting them drop in to find connection, have, depending on the intention, ups and downs or more flow, and creating a space where people can feel or think or reflect. So I use different instruments to create that flow. Like, for example, with water, I incorporated a lot of rain sounds and ocean drums, very relaxing and flowing, to help assist with that wave of being in, receiving, and slowing down. And with earth, the one that you listen to, I used a buffalo drum, which is very deep and very resonant, and it almost feels like you can feel the vibration through the audio. It's really powerful.
You can. I
And
have this.
also,
I want to speak to that just because, yes, I want to say that I first listened to it in my car, which that was a whole experience of on its own because I love the sound system in my car, like, and just being able to sit back, and I really lost it. Like I was able to just be in my little parking lot outside my apartment and just went completely grounded into it where the whole world just disappeared. So I definitely wanted to give you that feedback, and it was instant with that first drum. Like instant, well, your voice, but then the first drum then just dropped in. I tried to listen to it just on my phone. Wasn't as impactful. But I also have those like Bose headphones, the sound cancellation ones. Oh, I have to tell you, like, recommend that to everyone. Like, stay with headphones or in car.
I love that you had a really beautiful experience with it, and I
Yeah.
agree. Taking the time to tune out other distractions, not multitask, and take that time to slow down and do that for yourself, I feel is really powerful, and these sound journeys are a really great way to do that.
Yes, but speaking to yours specifically, though, and this is what I think that you're getting to with the arrangements that you have, um, it almost did it automatically for me. Like that's the best way to say. Like I use sounds all the time to help my clients get into trance. But I don't use it more as a journey. It's more to get someone regulated into their bodies. So this was different as a journey where it's almost like the journey just grabs me and then sat me down and said, stay. So I wanted to communicate that so you know that, and then hearing that that's your intention and knowing that that's what happened, just, to have that feedback that it's beautiful, beautiful. Keep doing it, please. Never stop.
Thank you. And that's an amazing journey that you went on. And that's my hope in my work, is to allow people to experience something that's different, and through that learn something about themselves or connect with themselves in a way that they maybe hadn't before. And I love sound. You mentioned that you have it in your practice as well, and how sometimes being in stillness or meditating can be difficult, but when you incorporate sound with your voice or use sound as an anchor, I found that it's easier to drop in and to find that trance state, like you mentioned, and it's really accessible. Like for yoga, there's a lot of movement. Sometimes we don't have the time to do it, but with sound, all you need to do is find a quiet space, decide, dedicate it to do this for yourself, and you can do 5 minutes, you can do 10 minutes, whatever resonates, but it's really powerful just to allow yourself to go on that journey and to give yourself that time of self-care.
Yeah, with it. So you are out of the corporate stresses, correct? So
Yes.
what would you say are your challenges now? Like, what would you say? Because there's this thing where we leave that kind of stressors, but of course there's still things that come up there. It's just at different levels that come up. So how would you describe some of those things that challenge you, that kind of puts you in that space that almost triggers the old stress? Like, are you aware of your triggers and things?
That's a really good question. I feel that with that corporate job, you have that stability to an extent, but when you're on your own and you're building something from the ground up, every day is kind of like a puzzle, and something comes up, figuring it out or learning what your process is. And I'm really grateful that when I was in film and television, I was a producer, so I did a lot of business management and marketing and writing, and was fortunate to have the creative with the business intertwined. So that's been something I've been grateful to be able to integrate as a facilitator now and running my own business. But that not knowing, I guess, like how every day is different, and you build foundations of what you want and where you want to go into the future, but when you're doing it on your own, anything can come up and challenges can arise, and it's about just trusting that you have the abilities to overcome that and not let that bubble up as stress. Just finding the balance with flowing, but also with action. And for me, it's been a little challenging to not fully go into the yang of the business mindset, but also really incorporating a yin, a femininity into my business as well, of flowing, receiving, allowing myself to be open to receive and to attract, and not just focusing on the action, the doing, and getting things done. So I'd say that's been my biggest challenge, is
Yeah.
trusting and just letting go and knowing that what needs to happen or what what will what will be. Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely relate to that, and that's similar. And what I could also just add to it's there's a little bit of stress in that, but it's also
Mm.
because I haven't seen what I'm creating before. So in the
Yeah.
corporate model, it's just a repeat pattern of what's been created, what works, what has been proven to work. There's metrics, there's things that you look at that make that happen, but when you go down that path of entrepreneurship but also that spiritual journey through entrepreneurship, we haven't seen it. It's not common. This is not the common path that people go. So it's not like I'm just following someone else's path and then I'm, happy that I've seen it before, so I'm just repeating it. It's a very intuitive process. And because it's an intuitive process, we don't know. And then you go from knowing, thinking to not knowing anything and trusting the process and going day by day. And so there could be a little bit of stress that comes, but I also notice the surrender in that is where I find my peace.
Mm. Yeah. That's really beautiful, and I completely agree. Finding that complete surrender and just trusting and letting go is so important, not only in this work but in general. I feel that when we integrate those two, the surrender but also acknowledging the action, through that we can find balance. And I'm really curious, how was that process of surrender for you? Did it feel that you had like an aha moment, or was it something that you had to build over time?
I think a bit of both. Like when you were describing how you were in the corporate but also doing yoga and doing the things, I could relate to that because I feel like it's been something that's been moving in me for a while. And then I don't know that I could put it on something happen, but I do just remember a day saying, "Oh my God, this is what peace feels like." I think,
Mm.
you know what it is? I think I did the fake it till you make it. I think I did the concept of the affirmations. When you do the
Mm.
affirmations and you keep saying the same thing, and you're like, I'm lovable, and you say the same thing over and over, and in my head I'm saying I'm lovable, but there's a thing in my brain that's like, no, you're not, no, no, no.
Mm.
And so it's almost like I just kept saying it. I kept saying it. I changed the pattern in me. And then
Mm.
one day I woke up and I don't know how long I had been in peace. It was like, it seemed like I had been there for a while, but it was so far gone that I'd been practicing and working the tools, as you say, and picking up the different wisdoms, and things were changing around me. My whole world changed. I had new friends, I had new people around me. I so I think it was gradual. That's a great question because, yeah, I don't remember like a this happened and then the next day I shifted. I do have some clients like that who have experienced almost like a traumatic event, a near death
Mm.
experience, something that then you wake up and you're a completely different person. But mine, I think I woke up and I was a different person, but it was, if I look back, it was gradual. And I could say my whole life has changed. Um, but the start of it was definitely practicing Reiki,
Mm.
learning what energy even was. Everybody says, I like your vibe, I like your energy, but actually getting to know the energy, getting to know the frequency, understanding what unconditional love energy could even feel like or be like, and to
Mm.
experience that over and over and over again. And when I think about it, Reiki is unconditional love. It's this frequency of peace. And so I'm like just playing with peace and playing with those affirmations. I'm playing with all this. And then my eyes open one day. I'm like, I have what I've been trying to build.
That's really beautiful. And what you said about the affirmations in Reiki, about how sometimes what our conscious mind thinks and how we're navigating, there can be like a disconnect with subconscious at those affirmations, and Reiki are so powerful. And one thing I've observed in this space is how that subconscious is so tied to how we were brought up or family patterns that we're not even aware of. And it's an area of focus that, for me, I feel like will be a lifelong journey, like always healing those parts of me, but also it's something that I deeply incorporate in my work is the understanding of patterns and how that can be passed down not only from our parents but our grandparents and our ancestors, and that acknowledgement of how sometimes these beliefs, we're not even aware of them or they're not even ours. So through the modalities I incorporate, it's always something in forefront of mind is acknowledging where we are in the moment, but also in that stillness and that slowing down, what can we discover about ourselves, and that some of it might not even be ours to carry, and how can we release that?
Most of it's not ours. I see that all the time, because that's, when I explain to people how to, how to be an empath and not pick up other people's stuff. It's that whole like knowing yourself so well, knowing your energy so well that you know what's foreign. And so in practice, that's that whole, I know me in this moment, the stillness. I know, that 20 minutes I took before this call, I was able to see where I'm at. If I had anxiety or anger or sadness, I will see that. And so anything else that would come in is foreign. It's foreign. It's not mine. And you could even go deeper and say, what is that sadness? What am I sad about? Is that mine? Where did I pick it up from? So, but as you say, this happens in the stillness.
And I feel that everyone's journeys are so different, and we resonate or respond to things differently, but there's these amazing tools that help get us there. With sound, we're able to slow down and have something to anchor with or release with, depending on the intention. With movement, somatic work, or yoga, we can literally shake it off or sweat it out, and that's powerful within itself too. And with breath, we can get both sides. We can have active breath work, and physically release those tensions or those traumas in the body, but also have the ability to slow down, engage with relaxing breath to work towards that more subconscious state. So that's one thing I really nerd out over is, I think I mentioned earlier, how all of these things, they have their own unique style, their own unique frequency, and they have the same outcome. It's just about what resonates with you, what connects with you, and what's needed in your journey at that particular moment in time, which is really powerful.
Okay, so here's a fun one that, because it's this thing of like what I learned in hypnotherapy is that when we are deconstructing old patterns, then we get to that release. You get to release it, you get to let go. But then the thing that people have almost like the struggle with is, what are you going to put it in its place? Like, what's next? And once you release, then you have this open space, your blank canvas. You get to create. But because we hadn't been in creation so long, we were just living the old patterns. it's challenging for people to create. So with that said, what are you creating right now? I know that you are working on your sound bath audios, and you have your workshop, your training coming up. What is it that you're creating right now? What are you working on?
Yeah, the elemental sound baths, can't say enough how much I loved creating them and birthing that, and taking something that really resonated with me, the elements and how we see that in our natural life, but also in practices that our families or our ancestors practiced, depending on where they were from, how connecting that is to ourselves and the world around us. And also the sound bath trainings, being able to teach people the tools to be able to take sound home for themselves and eventually their community. But also I've recently started offering Sikhem healing, which I don't know if you're familiar with it.
No, not at all. Tell me more. Tell us all more.
Yeah. Sikhem is a form of energy healing that is said to originate from Egypt. I've seen labeling of it as Reiki, but from what I understand, it's a different energy. I also facilitate Reiki, and I describe Reiki as very gentle, very relaxing, very grounding, where Sikhem is it's intense, but in a good way. It's like almost a fiery quality. It's like, for me, I found Sikhem to be a lot stronger than Reiki, but that also might be just my own personal experience with it. But it feels strong, vibrational, energetically. It feels different for me. Like Sikhem feels like pulsing waves, whereas Reiki feels a little bit more mellow. And Sikhem works on different energetic levels of the body and is a little more free-flowing, whereas with Reiki, I know there's symbols and sometimes a structure. Sikhem seems to be more intuitive and flowing, which is something that I love about it. And there's, depending on who you learn from, there's symbols, but it's more about connecting with the energy versus having a structure of a symbol needing to go at a certain place. It's about really tuning in, slowing down, and observing what's coming up. So I'm really grateful to have found it, and I practiced for a year before starting to offer this to other people, going back to that embodiment, since it's something that I intuitively found. I really wanted to sit with it and understand it before bringing it to other people, and it's been really potent for me in being able to connect more intuitively. I find myself being able to drop into meditative states a lot quicker when I work with it as well. So it's been a healing journey with it as well, and I'm excited to be finally bringing it to others too.
Beautiful. I love this. Oh my God, you have no idea how much I love all of these conversations. So we are reaching the end of our time here. So I will make sure I get all of your socials and everything and how people can find you, and I'll put it in the description. But any final messages or anything you just want to share before we say goodbye?
It's been so lovely speaking with you, Rae, and I love sharing journeys and experiences and talking about how where we've been helps inform where we're going, but also what we want to bring to others. So I really enjoyed learning about your experiences and what you're bringing to the world as well, because we all need this right now. So it's such a joy to see that you are also in this space and bringing such healing to others too.
Beautiful. Wonderful. It's been a pleasure talking to you, getting to know you, and thank you all for listening. And bye. Thank you for joining us today for a soul-nourishing episode of Soul Brew. where healing conversations flow as freely as the tea. I hope you found solace, wisdom, and inspiration in our dialogue. And until next time, take a moment to sip slow, breathe deep, and embrace the healing power of connection. Stay tuned for more heartwarming conversations over tea. And until then, may your cup overflow with peace and serenity. Take care.